Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into a group you might not know as well as some others from World War II, but they were definitely significant.
Oh, yeah. Who are we talking about?
The Imperial Japanese Navy's Tokubetsu Keisatsutai, maybe better known as the Tokeitai.
Ah, right, the Tokitai. Okay.
Yeah, and we're working from an excerpt from a pretty detailed PDF document that focuses just on them.
Got it.
So our goal here, for you listening, is to really unpack what the Tokeitai was, look at the, well, surprisingly wide range of things they did, according to this source,
Uh-huh.
and maybe understand why one single unit would end up juggling so many different, pretty heavy responsibilities back then.
Makes sense. So at its core, the source defines the Tokitai as the Navy's military police, right?
Exactly.
Kind of like the Army's Kempeitai, just the Navy version.
Right. So you'd think, okay, standard MP duties,
Yeah.
discipline, personnel records, that kind of thing within the Navy. And the source says, yeah, that's where they started.
But it didn't stay that simple for long.
Not at all. The document points out pretty quickly that their role expanded. What was behind that?
Well, one key reason the source gives is it was partly about asserting the Navy's own authority. Basically, to keep the Army and the Kempeitai from, sticking their noses into Navy business.
Ah, okay. So a bit of bureaucratic defense, almost, protecting their turf.
You could say that. It seems that dynamic influenced how the unit evolved.
And that evolution led to them being, well, the source uses the word pervasive, especially in the South Pacific, in areas the Navy controlled directly.
Yeah, the naval control area. The document even mentions they became about as widespread as the Kempeitai in those zones.
Which suggests a much bigger presence than just, say, guarding naval bases.
Definitely. And their job became more complex, too. The source details this dual security function they had.
Dual function, how so?
Well, on one hand, they were looking outwards, identifying external threats, suspicious people like you'd expect, standard security stuff. But, and this is crucial, they were also looking inwards, intensely monitoring their own Navy units, their own personnel, looking for any sign of dissent, potential defectors, traitors.
Wow, internal surveillance is a core task.
Yeah, the source connects it to this security doctrine called Kikosaku, basically internal unit security, keeping their own house in order very strictly.
That's quite a focus. And the source mentions another role too, right? Acting as colonial police.
It does, yeah. In some of the occupied Pacific territories where Navy units were the main presence, the Tokitai apparently took on local policing duties.
And this is where it gets pretty dark, isn't it?
It is. The document touches on a really heavy aspect here. It states that in this role, as colonial police, accusations of war crimes were later made against the Tokitai.
Accusations involving what, specifically?
The source specifically mentions accusations about coercing women, comfort women from places like Indonesia, Indochina, and China, into sexual slavery.
Okay. And just to be clear, we're reporting this as it's presented in the source material we were given. These are accusations noted in the document.
Exactly. We're conveying what the source states on this matter. It's a grim part of the picture it paints.
Definitely. Now, moving on, the source describes yet another major function. They weren't just police or security, they were also operators.
Right. They functioned as the operative branch for the Navy's Secret Service, which was part of their information office.
So, secret agents on top of everything else?
Pretty much. The document lists out these Secret Service roles: counterintelligence, protecting important people and ships, gathering intel, supporting undercover ops,
That's incredible.
and even being ready to jump into ground combat if needed, plus the more routine local security around naval bases, too.
So let me get this straight. This one unit, the Tokeitai, handled Navy discipline, counter-spy operations, internal policing for loyalty, colonial policing with those severe accusations attached, and acted as a Secret Service branch.
That's what the source lays out. It's an incredibly broad, almost contradictory set of tasks for one organization.
How does the source explain that? How could one unit manage all that?
It doesn't fully explain the how in terms of logistics, but it highlights that the IJN consolidated all these functions. It suggests maybe a pragmatic approach, or maybe just a sign of how strained their structures were during the war.
And there's one last role mentioned right at the very end.
Yeah, a final, maybe unexpected point in the document. In the last weeks of the war, the Tokeitai were apparently among the units being prepared for actual combat to fight against the Allies if they invaded Japan Operation Downfall.
Wow. Just wow. So looking at this source, the Tokeitai was so much more than just Navy MPs. It was this multifaceted beast handling everything from internal checks to external spying to occupation duties and finally Maybe frontline defense.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How do they even train people for such different jobs? How did the internal security part sit alongside the Secret Service work?
Exactly. It leaves you with a question. Maybe what does this kind of consolidation of roles in the Tokeitai, as shown in this document, tell us about how military and security forces operated under the immense pressures of that time? It really speaks to the complexities of war and occupation beyond just this one unit.